Hi, everybody. Now I'm going to talk about experiment 8, which is about frequency domain analysis. So I'll give you some background and we'll jump from point to point, not in order, but there is no specific order, but I'm going to try to explain the concept as easy as possible, okay? Now what we have done before is to have a circuit, DC circuit, and then we calculate like the voltage, the resistance, the current, and we use a DC power source and we use a voltmeter to measure different quantities. Here, the voltage, so what we have before is, for example, I have voltage source, DC voltage source, and then I have a resistor, another resistor, for example, third resistor, and then I can use, for example, the voltmeter to measure what? The voltage, or I have voltmeter to measure, for example, an ammeter to measure the current. In the calculation, the way we do this is actually we are taking the voltage, divide the voltage by the summation of the three resistors. So I be equal to V divided by the summation of R1, R2, and then R3. Okay, so this is the way we are going to do it. For example, also we can like find this voltage by voltage divider rule and all of these rules. Okay, now what we will do here is we're going to apply, instead of this voltage source, I'm going to apply an AC signal. Okay, and then I have, for example, a resistor, a capacitor, and for example an inductor. Okay, so at the end I'm going to measure, for example, here I'll connect, usually I connect here channel B, and I connect here what? Channel A. Okay, and or channel 1 and channel 2. So the oscilloscope will consist of two channels. So these are actually in one device. Okay, what we are going to measure here is actually the voltage, amplitude for the signal, and the phase difference. So usually what we have is the following. I have, for example, Vs of t equal, for example, let's say 5 cosine omega t. Okay, and we said last time, if you remember, that we consider the phase difference to be 0. This is volt. So my target is to find V L of t, which is equal to a certain amplitude. Let's say, for example, 3 cosine omega t plus theta and volt. So then here I'm going to, so the main thing is to find in the measurement, I'd like to find this one and also to find this one. Right. Now, if I want to find, for example, the current here, I'm going to use the same procedure as we did in the DC, but I have to do some conversions. Okay, so I need to convert the circuit into the frequency domain, and the way into the frequency domain, and the way to do it is I have, for example, a source, and then I have a resistor, for example, I have a capacitor, and then I have, for example, an inductor. So here we write R, C, and L, and then here we give, for example, a certain frequency and all of this. Here what we usually do, we say this is the amplitude of, for example, the 3-volt peak, okay, and the angle is 0, okay, because everything, this will be this, so this will be this term minus this term. So usually I'm saying here it is plus 0, okay. Then I'm going to write here what? Z of R, and here it's going to be Z of C, which is the impedance, and this is Z of L. So if I convert this, I can find the current going here بنفس الطريقة that I did here. So I will be equal to, the voltage, which is a 3 with an angle of 0, divided by, Z of R plus Z of C plus Z of L. Okay. Now, this you need to know how to calculate. So I'm going to give you just a small introduction to this. I'm not going to go to the details, but just what we need. Okay. So let me have a white color here, and then cover it. Okay. So usually they say that if I have R, this convert to Z of R with, which is equal to an amplitude of R and an angle of 0. Okay. And then if I have capacitor, it will be equal to Z of C, the impedance will be equal to 1 over J omega C. Okay. And this will be equal to minus J over omega C. Okay. And this will be equal to what? As an amplitude, this will be 1 over omega C. This is C, by the way. And the angle will be minus 90. Okay, degrees. L will give you Z of L will be equal to J omega L, which will be equal to omega L as amplitude and an angle of 90 degrees. Okay. So this is the way to calculate. You have the capacitor, you have the omega is equal to be given because you have a certain frequency. So this is actually 2 pi. Okay. And if you multiply this, for example, by the C, you can get the amplitude. Okay. وهذا يسمى ايش؟ الcomplex representation. This is they called the phasor representation. Okay. I want just to give you a small introduction to this also. So let me also clear all of this again. نغير. Okay. Okay. So let's say I have a number, for example, x will be equal to a plus jb. هذا يسمى complex representation. And then y will be equal to مثلا c plus j d. And by the way, b or a or c or d, this can be positive or negative. So if I want to add them, x plus y, this will be equal to what? A plus c. This is the real part, and then plus j b plus d. اوكي. يعني لو هذا مثلا 3 4 5 والدي مثلا هذه ناقص 2. So you can like substitute. So some of this will be يعني d will be minus in here. Okay. طيب. I can add the numbers like this. I can also subtract. So x minus y, for example. Let me just use another color. So it will be a minus c, and then b minus. Okay. So if I do addition or subtraction, I can do it in the complex representation. This is called complex. And عندي ايش? real part and also complex part. طيب. هذا ممكن انا ايش؟ احوله الى فيزر. الفيزر هو عباره عن ايش؟ amplitude هي مثلا x and an angle. Okay. So what is this? This will be a square plus b square and then square root. هذا ايش؟ هذا عبارة عن الامبليتيود x. Okay. Angle will be tan inverse. Okay. So sorry, this is theta or phi or whatever. It will be tan inverse of b over a. Okay, this will be equal to phi. All right, شباب. Sorry, let's call it. Okay. نفس الشيء بالنسبة للواي. خلينا نقول amplitude is. So I have x and y. So let's represent it by x and y. I don't know how to do it. X and this will be y with an angle of phi. Now, if I want to divide x by y, it will be equal to x divided by y. Okay, so it is theta, and down we have phi, and this will be equal as an amplitude x divided by y, and an angle of theta minus, sorry, theta minus phi. Okay, well, if I have multiplication x, y, this will be equal to x amplitude, y amplitude, and then the summation of theta and phi. طبعا لا تنسى اليونت هنا، ممكن يكون امبير، ممكن يكون voltage, whatever. Okay, so this is one thing. Let me also clear everything again. Okay. Now I have also, like, for example, I have let's say a number x has an amplitude of a and an angle of theta, for example. So how can I convert this to like a form of a plus jb? Okay, فبتكون ايش؟ ال a will be equal to a cosine theta will be هذه اللي هنا بتكون ايش؟ a sine theta. طبعا if you are now want to either يعني مثلا المثال اللي اعطيتك اياه من شوي, it was actually an angle, sorry, it was a voltage 0 over a summation, right? So it's like CC CR plus 0. Okay, لو تلاحظ هنا في الترم اللي في الاسفل, this is actually summation, and then you need to divide. So in here you need to add them in the complex, convert them into like phasor, and then you divide. Okay, so يعني all of the things that you need to do is actually you manipulate this. Okay, so if I have the same circuit again that I had before, capacitor and then inductor. Okay, so if I want like to find the current in here, I can find I by I, as I said, I equal to this. Okay, if I want, for example, to find the voltage here, I can multiply the I that I find by, for example, Z of L. Okay. So the normal equations that I'm using are actually. I'm going to explain this in more details, but I just wanted to give you an idea. Right. This is the theoretical part. Now I'm going to make another video for the practical, more into the practical part.